And if Silver or Hedgehog were in Demon Slayer, what would happen if a time traveler with telekinetic powers ended up in Japan during the Taisho era, or better yet, the era of the demons? Would his speed and psychokinesis be enough to paralyze the upper ranks or the immortality of the demons? Would it be an unsolvable problem? For the Silver Hedgehog, our story begins with a distortion in space-time. During a fateful battle in his ruined future, Silver tries to use Carlos's control to stop Iblis, but a dimensional instability throws him through a vortex. He doesn't fall into a destroyed futuristic city, but instead into the middle of a dense, dark forest. We are on Mount Natagumo, at the exact moment when Tanjiro Kamado is about to be decapitated by Rui, the Lower Moon 5. Tanjiro, exhausted with his broken sword, sees death approaching. Rui's threads descend like guillotines, but milliseconds before impact, a cyan glow illuminates the forest. The threads stop in the air. They're not cut, but simply freeze, enveloped by a psychic aura. Silver lands gently between the hunter and the demon, with an expression of confusion mixed with his unshakable sense of justice. Rui tries to pull his threads, but they don't obey. Silver's psychokinesis manipulates matter at the molecular level through his willpower. Rui's webs, although reinforced by demon blood and harder than steel, are still physical matter. Silver's mental strength, capable of lifting tons of debris in his world, easily surpasses the tensile resistance of a Lower Moon's threads. Rui, irritated, tries to use his demon blood art, Thread Prison, but Silver extends his hand and pushes the air. A telekinetic shockwave hits Rui, throwing him against the trees at a speed that Tanjiro's eyes can barely follow. Notice the speed discrepancy here. In the Sonic universe, characters like Sonic and Shadow frequently break the sound barrier, going far beyond it, reaching levels of having the speed of light. In Demon Slayer, Zenitsu reaches lightning speed in specific bursts. But Silver's constant combat speed is superior to the perception of most demons. For Rui, Silver didn't move, he simply teleported. Silver asks what that creature is, and Tanjiro, realizing that Uricho is not an enemy, shouts that it's a demon and can only be killed if its head is cut off with a special sword, that is, a Nichirin. Silver, understanding, uses his telekinesis to hold Rui, immobilizing him in the air and paralyzing each limb of the ONI, and Tomioka arrives at that exact moment, expecting to find Tanjiro safe, but comes across a floating anthropomorphic hedgehog holding a Lower Moon. With the opening created by Silver's total paralysis, Gui decapitates Rui before the demon can even react. The victory is absolute, but Silver's presence creates an immediate standoff. Silver is not an ordinary animal, nor an Oni. While Tomioka and Tanjiro try to understand who Silver is, Shinobu and Kano arrive to exterminate Nezuko. However, Silver stops them with his telekinesis. After that, he is taken to the DOS Corporation. At the Hashira meeting, the tension is clear. Sanemi tries to attack Silver to prove that he is a threat. But before the Wind Hashira's blade touches the hedgehog, he stops it just centimeters from Silver's nose. Vibrating intensely, Silver peacefully deflects the sword to the ground. Kagai and Buyashiki, with their almost supernatural intuition, realize that Silver has no malice, but rather a flame of hope coming from another time. Silver explains that his goal is always to save the future, and that if those demons threaten humanity, he will fight. Kagai sees in this a unique opportunity, an ally who could change the fate of the war between Onis and humans. Silver also wants to return to his own time, so Kagai explains to him about Muzan, the king of the Onis, who possesses the knowledge of every existing ONI, with some being capable of taking him back. With that, Silver joins the Oni Hunters Corporation, and the first major change in the timeline occurs. In the Mugen Train arc, Silver decides to accompany Rengoku, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, curious about this ancient technology, which is the train. When Enmu puts everyone to sleep, Silver's mind is a labyrinth. As someone trained to resist mental manipulation, focused on high-stress missions, and possessing a non-human physiology, Enmu's technique is less effective. Silver wakes up instantly. Silver wakes the hunters as soon as possible, and when Enmu merges with the train, threatening the 200 passengers, Silver doesn't need Tanjiro Inosuke to cut Enmu's neck immediately. Silver flies out, enveloping the Infinity Train in a gigantic aura, and literally lifts the train off the tracks, separating Enmu's flesh from the metal. With the brute force of his mind immobilizing the demon in the air, Rengoku, waking up and seeing the train floating, uses the first form to obliterate Enmu without the train even shaking, ensuring zero injuries. But the real threat arrives with the sound of impact on the ground. Akaza, Upper Moon 3 lands, and Akaza's presence is overwhelming. But Silver stands beside Rengoku. Akaza laughs, delighted by the different battle energy from Silver. And finally, the real fight begins. Will Silver be able to save Rengoku from his imminent death? Well, before I tell you, use your powerful spin dash on the like button and subscribe to the channel to keep watching insane theories like this. Now, watch Akaza. He is a master of hand-to-hand combat, able to sense the fighting spirit, detecting any hostile intent, and can, in a way, predict attacks launched against him. However, Silver fights from a distance. When Akaza tries to use his destructive death compass needle technique, he realizes he can't get close. Silver bombards Akaza with debris, stones, and logs at hypersonic speeds. Akaza destroys the projectiles but can't touch Rengoku or Silver. Akaza's speed is immense, surpassing the speed of sound, but Silver reacts to attacks from creatures like Shadow and Metal Sonic. His reflexes are trained to intercept hedgehogs that move at the speed of light in their super forms. Akaza is fast, but for Silver he's slow. The problem comes with regeneration. Silver crushes Akaza, twists his limbs, and throws him against the mountain. But the Oni heals instantly. Rengoku realizes Silver's helplessness when it comes to exterminating the Oni. Soon, Rengoku shouts that they need to hold him until sunrise. Silver understands. He uses his ultimate crowd control technique, the Psyche Ho. He focuses all his power to create a crushing gravity over the house, pinning him to the ground. The house panics. For the first time in centuries, he can't stand against an enemy. The brute physical strength of an Upper Moon is titanic, capable of splitting the ground. But Silver's psychic pressure feels like an entire mountain is on his shoulders. The sun begins to rise and the house is in total despair, humiliated and terrified. As the sun burns, his skin is disintegrated and Rengoku Kyojuro survives. This change triggers a major positive butterfly effect. Rengoku doesn't die, which means that Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke now have an active mentor. Rengoku trains the three of them relentlessly. Tanjiro learns to control flame breathing and to integrate it, improving the Hinokami Kagura under Rengoku's direct guidance. Silver, in turn, realizes that he needs a way to finish off Zunis since he can't rely solely on the sun. The Hedgehog asks the village blacksmiths to create rings or gauntlets made from Nichirin ore, allowing his psychic attacks to channel solar energy through physical contact or coated projectiles. In the entertainment district, Silver's presence alongside Tengen Uzui makes the infiltration comical. But the battle is brutally short. Daki can't handle the attacks coming from all directions. When Gyutaro reveals himself, he tries to use his speed and his powerful poisonous blood, but remember, Silver can fly and aerial combat cancels out Gyutaro's terrain advantage. Silver lifts Gyutaro into the air away from any buildings or hostages and keeps him suspended. Uzui, now with the support of Rengoku, who joined the mission because he's alive thanks to the Hedgehog and Rengoku, Uzui doesn't lose his hand or his eye. The combination of Uzui's sound speed with Silver's restraint allows for a simultaneous decapitation, with Rengoku beheading Daki and Tengen finishing off Gyutaro. Despite the victory, Tengen retires because of the promise he made to his wives. Muzan Kibutsuji begins to feel genuine fear. He is worried about this white demon who has no scent of blood, doesn't use breathing techniques, and can paralyze. Upper Moons with a glance, Muzan orders all the Upper Moons to focus on killing Silver. This leads us to the Swordsmith village arc. Do you remember that because of the battle against the house, Silver doesn't want to rely on the sun? Well look, he went to the swordsmiths and ordered Nichirin gauntlets. But notice that Rantengo and Gyoko invade the village while Silver, who was in the village testing his gauntlets. He senses the evil presence with his extrasensory perception long before any hunter finding Gyoko. Upper Moon 5 Silver makes the battle laughable. The fish demon tries to turn things into fish and uses all the tricks he has in his vases, but Silver simply crushes all the vases simultaneously. With a thought, Gyoko, in his final form, tries to strike Silver, boasting about his divine speed. Silver, with a bored sigh, used to fighting extermination robots from the future, says, "Is that all? This is something that would drive Gyoko crazy." He grabs Gyoko telekinetically and compresses him until the demon becomes a compact sphere of flesh, allowing him to finish him off with a punch. Towards the battle between Rantengo and the Hashiras, the change is huge. Silver, with his speed, gets there in a matter of seconds. Zoroku has the fusion of the clones. He summons his wooden dragons, but Silver, with his signature skill and meteoric smash, rips a huge rock from the mountain, covers it with his aura, and hurls it like a meteor against the wooden dragons. Obliterating him, with no space for Rantengo to hide, he is exterminated by the Hashiras, leading to the hunter's victory and the rescue of the village. Notice that because of Silver, Muzan is losing his demons one by one. That's exactly why the King of Demons wants to face the Hedgehog before he wipes out all the demons in his army. Sensing the danger and chaos, Goyashiki calls for the Hashira training because the final war is approaching. The Hashira training now includes combat against zero gravity, where Silver makes the hunters fight while floating, improving everyone's balance and reaction, also putting pressure on their bodies with fights in increased gravity. The core is stronger than ever. Rengoku is with the Hashiras and everyone is at their peak. Thanks to Silver's increased gravity training, the hunters push their bodies to the limit. And with the atmosphere of the Hashira's training, Tanjiro awakens his Slayer mark, sequentially passing the power on to the others. When Muzan falls into the trap at the mansion, the Goyashiki, and is poisoned by Tamayo, the king of the Onis, to save himself, pulls everyone into the Infinity Castle. And here, Silver becomes humanity's ace. Nakimi's distorted dimension is annoying for the Slayers, but irrelevant to Silver, who flies freely. He quickly locates Oni, the substitute upper fourth moon, who tries to change the rooms, but Silver uses small-scale chaos control to stabilize the space around him. The walls summoned by Nakimi are easily passed through by Silver, who ends up destroying and defeating Nakimi with his Nichiren gauntlet. The castle collapses. Silver uses all his speed to find Muzan, who is recovering from Tamayo's poison, and during this time he spots the hunters' battle against Kokushibo, the Upper Moon One. Kokushibo is a monster with centuries of experience, and the moon breathing, which creates chaotic long-range blades, becomes a problem for the hunters. Takumi, Yome, Muchiro, and Genya are fighting for their lives. Kokushibo is fast, his attacks are almost instantaneous. As soon as he enters the fight, Kokushibo unleashes a storm of crescent moons against the Hedgehog. Silver extends both hands and creates a psychic barrier. The moons hit the barrier and dissipate. Silver uses his telekinesis to hold Kokushibo's sword for the first time. Kokushibo feels his sword become heavy. In that split second of restraint, that's all Gyome and Sanemi need. With their awakened marks and red weapons, they advance. Silver can't hold Kokushibo for long due to the ONI's absurd physical strength. But he acts as support, dodging the deadly blades and opening up the samurai's guard. Muchiro and Genya don't die in this timeline because Silver intercepts the fatal blows. The combination of the four hunters puts an end to Upper Moon 1. Without the house present in this battle, Rengoku, Tanjiro, and Gyu are free to help in the fight against Duma, preventing Shinobu from dying for Oni. When the hunters come together and finally face Muzan, the final battle is about to happen. The king of the Oni is surrounded and is poisoned due to Tamayo's poison, but he is still a force of nature. He uses his whips at hypersonic speed. The Hashiras can barely get close. But Silver is there, so he flies over the battle and gathers all the debris from the fight, pieces of the castle, rocks and trees, forming a gigantic sphere of debris, similar to his final attack in Sonic 2006. Silva hurls the titanic mass at Muzan, the king of the Onis, who destroys the debris with his whips, but that was just a mere distraction. Silva uses his maximum speed, descending like a cyan lightning bolt, and grabs Muzan, not physically but mentally. He traps Muzan in a gravitational prison. Muzan tries to use his cellular multiplication to split into 1,000 pieces and escape, but the pressure is constant. Silver is burning his psychokinetic energy to the maximum. Tanjiro, Rengoku, Gyo, and the others unleash their most powerful attacks simultaneously, cutting through Muzan's whips and flesh, preventing him from counter-attacking Silver. The sun begins to rise over Orochi. Muzan screams as he tries to escape, but Silver does something that seals the villain's fate. He uses his psychokinesis to lift the ground beneath Muzan, raising him toward the sun's rays. Muzan, the progenitor of demons, with nowhere to hide, held by the mind of a time traveler, he burns, disintegrating into ashes under the peaceful light as he looks at the silver hedgehog, who came from a future he will never conquer. The war ends, with Rengoku, Shinobu, Muchiro, Gen, and Mitsuri alive. The future of the hunters is bright. Silver, seeing peace restored and feeling the temporal distortion correcting itself, smiles. For Tanjiro, he knows he has changed destiny. As he disappears into particles of light to return to his own time, Tanjiro looks up at the empty sky, silently thanking the Hashira from the future. So, did you like this version where a time traveler saves the day? I picked out this other video for you to watch. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. I'll be waiting for you there. And don't forget to comment on the next character you want to see here. Bye bye, otaku.